Good evening. Detectives are continuing to question 4 teenagers on suspicion of murder following the death of a man in Chatham. The man in his 40s was found on Chalk Pit Hill on Thursday morning. Kent police believe he died sometime on Wednesday evening after falling from a height. An 18-year-old man, a 17-year-old boy and 2 16-year-old boys are in custody. Officers say they are all known to the man who's died. A motorbike rider has been killed in a 3-vehicle crash in Brighton. Police were called to Foxway in Portslade just after 4:30 yesterday afternoon. The 33-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. A second motorcyclist was taken to hospital with a leg injury. A car was also involved. The road was closed in both directions while emergency services were at the scene. Anyone who may have witnessed the crash is asked to contact police. Now, the Archbishop of Canterbury has criticised the government's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda during his Easter sermon. Justin Welby told the congregation that the policy cannot stand up to the judgment of God. He also called for a Russian ceasefire in Ukraine to reset the ways of peace. Charlotte Wilkins reports from Canterbury Cathedral.
As the spring sun shines down through the nave of the cathedral, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, reflects on the events in Ukraine and calls for the darkness of war to be banished.
So let this be a time for Russian ceasefire, for withdrawal and a commitment to talks.
His thoughts echoed by the Very Reverend Dr. Robert Willis, the Dean of Canterbury Cathedral, who retires in May after 21 years.
I think we're horrified by the capacity of humankind to do these things to each other, and that the Archbishop was talking about that and did so very powerfully within the context of Easter and new beginnings and the graces of the kingdom of heaven, and one of those is peace, being something that we have to reach out for on this day of resurrection.
Justin Welby also uses his sermon to sharply criticise the government's plan to deport refugees to Rwanda.
It cannot carry the weight of our national responsibility as a country formed by Christian values, because subcontracting out our responsibilities, even to a country that seeks to do well like Rwanda, is the opposite of the nature of God.
The Archbishop's sermon is always important. And you know, there was applause afterwards today, which was most unusual.
The Archbishop's sermon was so extraordinary. He touched on the burning issues of the day and addressed it very, very well.
It's the first full-capacity Easter service to be held here since before the pandemic. The cathedral once again alive with song and praise. Charlotte Wilkins, ITV News, Canterbury.
Some more news in brief now, and another photo has been released of a man missing in Worthing. 34-year-old Christopher Marshall hasn't been seen since midnight on Monday. It's believed he's still wearing the blue jacket seen here and is still in the Worthing area. P&O Ferries has told its customers that sailings from Dover to Calais will be suspended until Wednesday. The company had told passengers services would resume tomorrow. Its ships have not operated on the route since the company sacked 800 staff without notice a month ago. And Margate has seen the biggest average rise in house prices of any seaside town in the UK. A report by the lender Halifax found that prices jumped by almost £140,000 over the past decade. The average price of a home by the sea in Britain has jumped by more than £22,000 in the last year. Halifax says it's due to more people moving to the coast after working from home during the pandemic. Well, let's have a look at the weather forecast now with all your details. Here's Philippa Drew.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello there. It's been a very nice Easter day out there for many of us. Lots of dry and bright weather. And as we head our way into a new week, it stays fairly settled weather-wise. A lot of dry weather in the forecast, some nice sunny spells to be found. A few showers, although I suspect not amounting to too much. However, it will start to feel a little bit cooler for many of us than it has done in recent days. Out there at the moment then, dry, some clear spells to start the night. We'll see a bit more cloud feeding in from the west though as the night wears on, and that in turn could produce 1 or 2 spots of light rain. But the cloud also keeping the temperatures up, so I think for most of us, not much lower than 5 or 6 degrees by dawn. A bit of a cloudy start for some tomorrow morning then, still the risk of 1 or 2 spots of rain, but that cloud soon moving away eastwards, behind it brightening up nicely, some lovely sunny spells taking us through the bank holiday Monday. However, you'll notice temperatures a little lower than they have been of late, certainly inland, highs tomorrow just 16, perhaps locally 17 Celsius, and still, as it has been over the last few days, always a little cooler around the coast. And speaking of the coast, here are your times of high water tomorrow. Margate 1:36 in the morning and just before 2 in the afternoon. Bye-bye.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Thanks, Philippa. That's just about it from the weekend team. We will be back with Good Morning Britain tomorrow from 6 a.m. Join us if you can, but from all of us here, do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.